Morning, folks. This is John in Tallahassee. Can folks hear me?
They should, you should ask. They should be able to hear you.
Can y'all hear me? All right. Guess I had a tough weekend. Very little responses. I'm actually in a good mood. Both the Gators and the Seminoles are in the Sweet 16. All right, we're going to get cranking. I think that you can see kind of an outline of the agenda. I hope that you can kind of see in the blue square that I'm looking at. I'm going to go over the FAC priorities first, and then there's a few issues that I want to highlight. Some of these bills are going to be up early this week on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to start with pension reform. Just a quick review, since this is the first Monday briefing that we've done. I'm going to go over a few things on Senate Bill 1130, which is Senator Ring's bill, and it came out a few weeks ago. A couple of key provisions, however, are not in the bill. It mirrors the structure and the outline of the governor's proposal. It leaves blank at this time contribution rates that would be for the employees. The other major provision, Senate Bill 1130, is that it prospectively ends the defined benefit plan and puts new employees into a defined contribution plan with a 5-year vesting period. On some of the other mechanisms that are available under the pension system, it eliminates the COLA provision and eliminates some of the extras that folks can put in their high five, like the overtime and the annual sick leave. The House came out last week. House Bill 1405 is by Representative Workman. It, too, follows the basic structure of the governor's proposal. However, for the employee contribution rate, suggests a contribution rate of 5%. So that's where we stand at this time as we head into the third week of session. Those are kind of the summaries and the differences between the two pension bills and the governor's proposal. Next, I'd like to cover Medicaid reform. Medicaid reform has a lot more variations between the House and the Senate. Some of them start with the premise of having a managed care system. The Senate would go to basically a regional system of 19 different sub-districts. One of the biggest issues that we have right now in the Senate bill is dealing with the primary care issue and transportation disadvantage. We're having to work both with the House and the Senate on these two issues as kind of the primary issues for counties, and allowing county health departments to continue to be a primary care facilitator in this new managed care system. All right, revenue cap. On the labor front, we have one revenue cap bill. It's SJR 958. That is by Senator Bogdanoff. It basically reestablishes or modifies the existing state cap. It changes the formula because it's a new cap and reestablishes a base year. They have kind of a glide path or a phase-in for the new formula, so it's not as restrictive in the first 4 years. We move out into the future in year 5. It will be a CPI population formula that will basically affect their general revenue. The good news is that right now it only applies to the state. Local governments are not included in the cap.
Pretrial services section here, and she works Okaloosa County for us, and she's been very, very successful with our program.
Well, we really appreciate that, Commissioner. Any comments or questions about any of the priority issues?
Chris Wadowski, St. Lucie County.
Hey, how are you?
Okay. Would it be helpful if each of the counties provide FAC with the savings that we get from pre-trial release? I know it can be quite substantial in some cases, millions.
I think it was outstanding. I know that Sarah has attempted to try to accumulate some of that data, and I have seen some numbers on about 14 or 15 counties, and so if you have respond to that request, or if you have something else to add, send that to us. Cragen, is there a way that they can send that? Is there something on the way that they can see as a contact to send that?
Sarah?
Yeah.
I can type a note in your thing for
All
Sarah
right.
Carroll's email address.
If you don't know how to get in touch with Sarah, you can send it to my attention.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Commissioner Parasite again. Yeah, I forwarded an email to Sarah last night, and it's a one-page background sheet on the savings in Okaloosa County, the effectiveness of our program, and over a 4-year period, we've avoided spending $27 million.
Great.
And John, this is Jim Seifert here. You know, some of the numbers that you have, I think, tend to understate the savings because in our case, when we were analyzing last year's bill, for instance, you know, we saw there were several hundred people who we would have had to keep in jail. That would have put us way over our jail population limits. And we're talking about spending $50 million on a new jail and, you know, $12 million a year to operate it if we had to keep those people in jail. That's a lot more than these, you know, per-diem-based savings that you all are collecting.
Yeah, and I understand that. I appreciate your comment. Let me just, for that particular issue, we have decided to be very conservative in the numbers because there are a variety of different reports out there, and the opposition has tried to minimize our numbers, so just so that we could, you know, not get around or beat up, you know, having sloppy numbers or overstated numbers. What we've done is to try to find the most conservative model from some of the counties that we've modeled and take the most conservative number statewide. Now, we will take any of the data that you provide us and we will share that. We have tried to compute our statewide numbers. We have tried to err on conservative just so that folks didn't point fingers or pick at the data as we lobby this issue. So we recognize that they're conservative and we appreciate you understanding that, but that's just kind of how we've decided to operate with the way that the other side has been lobbying this issue.
And we'll still probably be using, you know, their statements that I made. You know, in addition to a lot of other things, you know, it is true, for instance, in one county they eliminated pretrial. It really didn't make a difference on the jail population, but that's because the judges weren't using it. Every county's different, and every county has a different approach to their pretrial programs. And, you know, if the judges don't like them, then they're not going to use them, or you're not going to have a program. But that doesn't say anything about all the other county programs where the judges are on board.
Agreed. Very good points. Comments or questions on the priorities? I had a couple of other issues that I just wanted to bring to your attention, two of which are on the agenda for this week. Anybody else on the priorities?
Yeah, pension reform. One of the bills is puts the exempts those with salaries under $40,000 from the paying into the pension program. Has FAC evaluated that and got any position on that?
To do an analysis of some of those amendments. Is it, Commissioner? I apologize, I didn't catch the name.
It's Dave Parasite, Okaloosa again.
Hey, what they've done is they've created a tiered system, and I don't remember all the cutoffs. One of them was in the 30 or the 40,000 range, and then there was another cutoff in the 75,000 range. It was my sense that those amendments were basically done to get that bill out of committee. I don't think that those are substantive for the long term, but we can, next time I will try to get some.
The homestead property owner who now has an advantage over other property owners. It puts them really at the bottom of the heap. They're equal to the non-homestead, and the snowbirds come down and buy a house next to you, and they're going to be paying a small fraction of the taxes you're paying as a homestead owner. I mean, if you wanted to kill Save Our Homes, this is probably about the only way you could do it in terms of having any kind of property tax advantage for a homestead property.
Yeah. One of the things that we've done, Jim, is to analyze the model over the weekend on the 990 mill shift. If you impose the 3% cap and just staying or going to the rollback, there would be a $317 million shift to homeowners or to homesteaded property. If you made up just the difference, that's an additional $305 million shift to homeowners. And the really crazy part is that if millages stayed the same, you would stack an additional, I can't remember the number, but it's over $600 million in tax increases on homeowners if it was this 3% cap. So that's one of the things that Davin is focused on, is that shift, so the committee members and other legislators understand that things are not done in isolation, that you're playing with the property tax, and if you have to look under the hood, you're just shifting and moving things around, and it's basically the argument against the folks that say, well, you can just raise your millage. We can raise our millages, but all we'll be doing is shifting or exacerbating that shift. So we're working on it right now. That's a great point. We've done a little modeling to try to come up with a fiscal impact so we can kind of share that data with folks.
Dave Parris out of Okaloosa again. On the this is a side issue with that, with the homestead exemption. You know, there's a cap on a 3% CPI on that presently, and called capture rule. What are you tracking? What's being done to do away with the recapture rule? I know that's been on the come up before the legislature the last 2 to 3 years, and that is now.
It's also part of the House bill. We've not taken a strong position on that. The thing about the recapture is that it's kind of an anomaly in that it wouldn't normally have an impact. You know, the real estate market that we're in is something we've really actually never seen before. So our folks, when we've talked about it in a policy arena, kind of go either way on it. There are some fairness issues that are associated with it, and there's some correction issues that some folks like. That now the differences and the disparities between non-homestead and homestead are starting to evaporate. But then there's a lot of folks that just have a real hard time explaining how these property taxes go up in our market. So we've just kind of monitored it. We talked to folks about it to make sure that they understand it, but we have not taken a strong position on that. Interesting thing about the recapture provision is that provision applies to all entities, including schools. So in the Senate version, because there's a fiscal impact on that issue, they have taken it out of their Senate bill. But the House bill still has it right now.
Well, last year we had, in a declining real estate market, the CPI was 2.7%, which means those of us on our homestead tax bills, the true value went up 2.7%. Part of the problem is they're using the wrong benchmark on that, because CPI takes in a lot more than just home prices. I mean, it's fuel, cost of groceries, everything into effect on it.
I agree. Yeah, it's a one thing. Our property tax system since 1992 is at least, it's not an ad valorem system anymore, but what the heck? We got. I don't know if Chris wants to lean in, but Chris Holly just joined me. I don't know how to turn the little thing. Say hello, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Hey, Chris.
All right. Anything else on the non-homestead cap?
Like a new nickname for Chris. I think we ought to call him Scratch.
I don't know where that came from.
Scratch. All right.
How you doing? All right?
I won last night, so I'm feeling good.
I tried
Hey, Chris.
to talk about the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, I like it.
Yeah, Chris Day Parasite from Okaloosa. Hope your treatments are going well for you.
Thank you very much. They are. They are.
Hello, Collier County, Chris. Nice to hear your voice.
Good morning, Collier. Nice to hear y'all too.
All right. Last but not least is just DJJ on the funding side. You know, there are cost savings built into the budget around, in the governor's budget, I think they came out somewhere between 70 and 75 million, which is a 25% savings for counties for this coming fiscal year. The team has been talking to primarily the Senate side and the Senate staff about some kind of a buy-down proposal with the state. Those are in their early stages, so I don't have anything really to report on the status, but just wanted folks to know that is something that we're focused on and working on going to the conference process. That's all I wanted to review today. I did want to remind folks that Wednesday in 2 days we have our Ledge Action Day. We want everybody to come up and help us work on these issues. We've got a great agenda on Wednesday morning. And then at the reception, Governor Scott's going to join us over at the courthouse, and he'll dance and say a few words. So we hope can make it up to Tallahassee for Ledge Day. Anyone else got anything else on
John,
any issues or anything?
Parasite from Okaloosa again. We making any headway with DJJ on redefining pre and post disposition?
Negotiations, Commissioner, but I can't tell you that we really cracked that nut. I'd say that right now we're really just kind of focusing in on some of the on the funding issues. But I will check with Sarah to see if we're making any progress there. We were having some weekly discussions with the Secretary and her staff, but I don't know the status of that particular issue.
Well, I've been participating in those discussions, and I want to thank Sarah Carroll for the efforts that she's putting forth on that. She's got that bull by the horns.
Oh, sir. Yes, sir.
John Wayne, this is Debbie. One quick question.
Yeah.
On an earlier call, Sarah I believe she gave a statewide impact for pretrial release, and I didn't get it. I thought it was a big number. What that is?
No, a spreadsheet. We were working on that over the weekend.
Okay.
What we've done, the last time I checked with her, is that we had hard data on about 14 or 15 counties that we had modeled.
Okay.
And I don't know if she's using the number that we were going to use as a blow up for all the counties that had it. So right now, my guess is she's just going with the hard county numbers that we have, and she's strategically using that with the senators on that committee. But I'll check with her because I can't remember what that final number was.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope everybody's team does well this weekend. Go Noles. See you next Monday.
Bye.